Let's mow the lawn for the first time in over a month. Okay, listen, I know how to mow the lawn, but it's hard. It's way overdue, and I understand this. But last weekend it was raining, and the 2 weekends before that I was up in Virginia, and it's just difficult for me to stay on top of mowing the lawn when I'm trying to move 6 hours across state's line. When I pulled the lawnmower out of the garage, I realized that somehow, when it was shoved in there, when the moving people took most of Ryan's stuff, one of the bolts got loose and the other one fell out completely. But life is life. I accidentally guilted the landscaping company that takes care of my neighbor's yard, the part you can see behind me. I came out one day and I was like, listen, you have to stop mowing his lawn all the time because you're making me look bad. I can't keep up with you. Because he was mowing it every other weekend. And my extroverted self was having a moment because I'm not extroverted, but that's not the point. And he asked me why my husband wasn't mowing it. And I was like, I'm a single mom. So I wasn't looking for him to mow it. But next thing I know, he mowed that little strip for me. And now I only have to mow the main part of my lawn, which is super nice and convenient. And I'm probably going to give him a tip before I move. By this point, I realized that the lawnmower was not starting because there wasn't any gas in it. So I filled it up. The last time I mowed my lawn, I had apparently left my low gas container out in the driveway and it had filled up with water. So then I had to walk next door to the gas station to get fresh gas. So I know this gas is brand new and, it's 3 weeks old at this point, but it should get the job done and I'm almost ready to actually mow the lawn by this point. Maybe it'll actually start. But all this time I realized that there was this horrible smell and I realized it was because there was actually a kitty poop bag on my front porch. So I had to get rid of that quick before I could even consider actually mowing the lawn. So here we go. Bloop. It's still not starting. Listen, guys, I am not an expert. So I started off mowing the lawn exactly how you should, with a line right down the middle. I know that's probably not the case. Most people go around the perimeter, but I like to knock out this little section in the back first. My neighbor had this brilliant idea long before I ever moved in to plant bamboo along the backside of her yard. She thought it would add privacy. Turns out the bamboo didn't want to stay in the backyard and it likes to come into my yard. So my entire backyard and the entire side of my house is all full of this bamboo. And it's a little bit difficult to mow down once it grows. So I like to hit it when it's still young and fresh. But once I kind of knocked out that back corner, then I actually did a perimeter of the yard. There's this little tiny square of yard over here that I guess technically is my yard, even though I rent, so none of it's my yard. But my neighbor on that side of the house doesn't mow it, and instead she just gives me this side eye every time I pick my kid up from the bus. I get it, I haven't mowed my lawn in a month. But if you're worried that much about this 6-foot patch of grass, why don't you mow it? I don't know. But I wanted to make sure that I could at least get that out of the way so she didn't continue to send me bad juju beans or whatever. And I'm kidding, of course, because she's actually a wonderful lady and she's never said anything mean to me. But I just feel like I'm being judged once again because my yard is definitely the worst on the block. As you can tell, I am really knocking down these bamboo shoots. They are not going to take over my yard. And now for a super satisfying side edge meal. Although it probably doesn't make sense, I like to add a strip down the center right here because the front end, so to my left, there's no drainage, and that area is actually really rich in nutrients, which makes the grass grow not only really thick, but really tall, and then it actually holds in the rain so long. So even right now, as I'm mowing that section up front, it's so thick and wet, and it's just a pain in the butt to mow. So I try to cut through the yard long ways to give my blades kind of like a resting period. And then I will focus on the front end when my body needs a little bit of rest. And then I can go down to that thick, mulchy pond grass down there, and I can make 1 or 2 rows. And then when I get tired again, I'll come back up to the main square. So even though it probably doesn't make sense to all of you professional lawn mowers or the landscaping folks, it makes sense to me. And no one's told me otherwise, so if you drive by and you see me struggling with clover patch, no you didn't. So many moons ago, when I was mowing the lawn, I was wearing my cheap Walmart sandal slides. And I know everyone who just heard me say that gasped because you don't mow the lawn in sandals. As you can tell right here, I'm wearing my mowing shoes, which are already green, and you can't tell when I step on the grass that they're turning green because they're already green. Green shoes are so impractical. What other purpose do they have other than mowing the lawn? But that's not the point. I was mowing the lawn wearing my sandals, and I went over that stump that I pointed out a little bit ago. And as you can expect, the piece of stump flew into my foot, and it gashed it open, and my only saving grace was that I happened to be wearing a big, thick pair of socks, as one does as they are mowing the lawn in sandals. And it bled through the sock, of course, but I think that if I wasn't wearing the socks, it probably would have cut my toe off. I mean, maybe I'm being dramatic, but it hurt like a mother bleeper, and that's all I have to say about that. So from that point forward, I have not worn sandals since while mowing the lawn. I've learned my lesson. I'm wearing my green lawn mowing shoes, and that is that. So even though it's a total pain in the butt to mow my own lawn, I actually really enjoy doing it. Not because it's entertaining or enjoyable, and it's not even that satisfying at the end, but because I feel like I'm pushing myself to do something that's hard. This lawnmower that I have is a super old, generic, bottom of the barrel, basic lawnmower. It doesn't have the push assist. It has no anything. I am struggling, y'all. But for me, that's important because I am able to do hard things. And that's extra special to me, because I'm not having someone else do it for me. And even though I'm clearly struggling, I like the ability to say that I did it myself, because it would be so easy for me to pawn off these responsibilities on someone else. But I like knowing that I was able to do it. And furthermore, if you've been following my journey a while, you know that I actually have a neuromuscular hereditary disease known as Charcot-Marie tooth. And that's a progressive peripheral neuropathy, which means that it's attacking my extremities, so my hands and my feet, and then it'll work its way up to my arms and my legs with time. And this disease shows itself in different people in different ways. So for me, I am able to push through my symptoms and continue living my best life as long as I can, because even though this disease is progressive and with time, there probably will be a point when I can't mow my own lawn. I'm going to soak it up as much as I can now, and I can be a couch potato later if I want. I mean, Taurus vibes, let's go. Today was the first day back to school after spring break, and needless to say, my kiddo, Sassy, was so tired after school. She had woken up at 6 o'clock this morning because she really wanted to brush her teeth. And I know you're supposed to brush your teeth every morning, but mama gotta do what mama gotta do. And a lot of mornings she doesn't, because I'm physically taking her out of her bed at 6:30 to get her at the bus by 6:45. Yes, she is on the bus by 6:50 every single morning because her school starts at 7:15. And I know a lot of people think that's too early. Maybe I do too, but it works for us and our school. But that's not the point. She was so tired when she got home from school that we went to the grocery store and she fell asleep on the way back. And I started mowing the lawn around 7:30 and she had fallen asleep at 5 o'clock. So I was really nervous that she was going to wake up and not know where I was, because you know how you get all disoriented with your day nap. But I kept looking inside and I wasn't seeing her, so I was a little bit okay. But after a certain point, I was like, oh my goodness, what if she doesn't wake up at all? And I mean, not at all, but what if she doesn't wake up at all this evening? And then she's going to wake up at midnight and we're going to have this whole process again, because then she's going to be up all night and then she's not going to be able to wake up for school, and then she's going to be a pain in the butt, and then she's going to have to nap tomorrow again. So I was a little bit nervous about that as well. But thankfully, after I was done mowing, I went inside and she did eventually wake up. By this point, I'm really starting to tackle this thick, chunky death zone of marshland down by the road. And I'm trying not to completely clean up this center square because the grass is so much lighter and it's easier for me to push through. So I want to save some of that as a rest whenever I can't get through any more of this terrible land down here. But at the same time, it's just so thick and heavy and wet that I'm really struggling. And I'm trying to find a balance between taking off a long strip of this and then taking off maybe 2 strips of the short end, and then I come up to the nice soft grass, and then I go back down, and maybe I hit another short row or 2. But listen people, this grass is so thick, it's pushing a lawnmower through a literal pond of mush, and it's gunking up my blades, and I'm just not having a good time. I am not here for it down there. And then I come up here and it's smooth as butter, except for that clover patch that I'll hit in a minute. My poor lawnmower is putting along. This poor baby has been with me for so long now. I'm out I actually don't fill it up all the way because I'm afraid of putting in too much. I don't even know if that's a thing. So I tend to underfill, and then I always like run out of gas in the middle of my yard, and then I have to fill back up in the middle. But I did take that little break to spray some bug spray because I am chasing the darkness at this point. Like, I really want to get this done before it gets dark. But as soon as the sun comes down, these mosquitoes and the no-see-ums just attack you. But I needed to wear my tank top because it is hot, because this is South Carolina, y'all, and it is hot even at 7:30 at night. So as you can see, my house is right off of this main highway. And for some reason, the people who turn onto my street think that my yard is a perfect place to throw their litter, and it's disgusting. I don't even understand why. Maybe it's because this big chunk of grass just looks like a garbage disposal. I mean, it doesn't, but I don't know. I don't pretend to understand. All I know is people are constantly throwing their trash into my yard, and it's horrible. They also pull off of that road and zip down, and my yard kind of comes into the yard, like there's a slight turn around it, and people don't think to like stay on the road, so instead they'll just zoom right through that big patch of yard, and then their wheels are pulling up mud. Actually, a week, like the first weekend after I moved into this house, someone hit my mailbox. Like, come on, people, there is a literal yard here. My house is here. The street is like the paved part. You probably lived here longer than I have. You should know by now that you can't just drive through my yard, but whatever. I have lived here for almost 3 years now, and I'm really sad to move. I love this house in the most temperamental way. I wouldn't necessarily buy it, even if it was for sale. Like, it's not my dream home, but I've made a lot of memories in this house, and it's super convenient location, and the school is great for Sassy. So, I mean, I've really enjoyed living here, but between the litter and the nonsense drivers, and one of my neighbors is constantly, like, revving their engines at, like, 2 in the morning, which is obnoxious, but, I mean, you're going to have those cowboy hicks anywhere. We are so close to this final stretch right now. I am trying to balance between this thick part down by the road and then this lesser, easier to push through area in the front. And sometimes, admittedly, I end up not finishing, but I needed to for the video. It's easier for me sometimes if I leave a chunk and then I can start with a fresh hand tomorrow, but I was like, no, I'm going to push through this. I'm going to finish it. We're going to knock out these clovers. I did do my best to avoid all of the fuzzy bumblebee butts because I love the bumblebees and I know that they're important and they're freaking adorable. So I didn't want to kill any of those guys. So I did my best to avoid them, and I'm going to knock out all of these clovers. These are actually fresh clovers. Maybe like a year and a half ago, I sprinkled some clover killer, which I know this is when I made every vlogger's but they're a pain in the butt to mow. Yeah, and I'm really chasing the dark. I forgot to record. I really want to get this done. Okay, look, now it's dark. What just happened? I'll tell you what happened. Every vlogger's nightmare. I moved the tripod and forgot to hit record. So apparently, I just missed the best part. Oops. Well, as you can see, I don't have an edger, so that's not going anywhere. Whatever this is, I can't mow over it. Ignore my trash, real life. I have this interesting little stump that I can never get over. Again, no edger, no weed whacker. Whatever that tree is, it's gonna have to go down before I move. I may or may not have cracked that. Not today, but at some point. That's a giant ass ant hill. I did get over there a little bit. It's not perfect. There is no satisfying lines, but hey, neither is life.